everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something really cool. Python scripting.
Oh yeah, Python. Always a fun one.
Have you ever wished you could automate all those super boring tasks you have to do?
All the time.
Or maybe build, some of your own tools?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, Python is the answer. And to help us break it all down, we've got this amazing guide published just last November by Fiverr. It's going to be super helpful.
I think what's so cool about Python is that it's not just for, super techie people. It's being used everywhere these days, from data analysis and AI to web development. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you know what's even cooler? This Fiverr guide makes it so easy to understand.
Awesome.
Even if you're totally new to coding.
Love that.
Okay, so before we jump into actually writing and running these scripts, let's take a quick look under the hood. What exactly is happening when we're using Python?
So imagine you have this really great recipe, but the chef only speaks Italian. You need a translator, right? That's basically what the Python runtime and interpreter do. You write your code in Python, and they translate it into instructions your computer can understand. No matter what operating system you're using.
So it's the runtime is the chef's kitchen, providing all the tools and ingredients.
Yeah.
And the interpreter is the one actually translating the recipe step by step.
You got it. That's a really good analogy.
Okay, cool.
So the runtime sets up the environment, and the interpreter makes sure your computer can actually follow all your Python code.
Got it. So it's this universal language for computers.
Exactly.
Now, I'm sure some people out there are thinking, installing Python, ugh, that sounds complicated. But the Fiverr guide, they make it seem pretty straightforward.
They do a great job of breaking it down.
Yeah.
And they even tackle that whole path variable thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which can sound kind of scary.
A little bit.
But it's basically just telling your computer where to find Python.
Okay.
Like giving it a map.
Gotcha. So your computer's not frantically searching high and low every time you want to use Python.
Exactly.
It's all neatly organized.
Yeah.
And it sounds like setting that up isn't too bad, especially on systems like Linux and Mac OS.
Right.
Those tend to be a little more user-friendly.
They do, yeah.
Now, once you have Python all set up and ready to go, you'll encounter different types of code. The guide talks about scripts, modules, and apps.
Oh, yeah, those are the building blocks.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that. What exactly is the difference between these three?
Think of it like building with Legos.
Okay, I love Legos.
A script is a single set of instructions to build one specific model.
Okay.
And a module is a collection of special bricks that you can reuse in all sorts of different builds.
Got it.
And then an app that's a whole elaborate Lego creation.
Wow.
Combining multiple modules and scripts.
Cool.
To do something really amazing.
I love that analogy. So a script is for a single task. A module is a reusable building block. And an app is the whole shebang.
Exactly. And, each has its own purpose and its own way of being used.
Okay, so now that we have our ingredients in our kitchen all set up,
let's cook.
Let's talk about the actual cooking. How do we run these Python scripts?
So the Fiverr guide, they highlight a few different methods.
Okay.
You can use the command line, which is having a direct conversation with your computer.
Right.
Or you can just double click on the script file.
Easy.
Which is really convenient. And they even talk about using an IDE, which is having a high-tech kitchen with all sorts of fancy tools.
Cool. So what's the advantage of using the command line? It sounds a little, technical.
It does, but it gives you a lot more flexibility and control. Remember those command line arguments we talked about?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine you're building a web checker script.
Okay.
Instead of creating a separate script for each website, you can use arguments to check multiple websites, all at once.
Oh, so it's all about efficiency.
Exactly.
Less repetitive work.
Yeah, it's super efficient.
Got it.
All right.
Now, the guide mentions Visual Studio Code as a user-friendly IDE.
It's a great one.
What makes it so great, especially for someone just starting out?
Well, it has this really cool feature, syntax highlighting.
Okay.
Which basically color codes your code. To make it easier to read.
Helpful.
And then there's auto-completion.
Ooh.
Which suggests code as you're typing.
So you don't have to type out everything.
Exactly. Saves you time and typos.
Nice.
But, its real strength is in debugging.
Debugging?
Yeah. Imagine you're following a recipe.
Right.
And the cake just doesn't rise.
Uh-oh.
A debugger helps you figure out which step you messed up.
Okay. So Visual Studio Code is like having a baking expert like looking over your shoulder, making sure you don't accidentally add salt instead of sugar.
Exactly. It's super helpful.
That's cool. Now I'm curious, what about using Python on my phone? Is that even possible?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
You can actually run Python scripts on both Android and iOS.
Wow.
QPython for Android.
Okay.
Pythonista for iOS.
Cool.
Opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
I never thought I'd be able to code on my phone.
Well, now you can.
That's awesome. And speaking of possibilities, this Fiverr guide, it's like just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's so much more to explore with Python.
There really is. It's a very versatile language.
Where should someone go if they want to, learn more, or maybe they need help with a more complex project?
Well, the beauty of Python is its community. It's huge.
Okay.
There are tons of resources online,
Like what?
from tutorials and documentation to like forums and communities where you can connect with other, Python enthusiasts.
So you don't have to feel alone on your Python journey.
Exactly. You've got a whole community to support you.
I love that. And of course, we can't forget about Fiverr.
Ah, yes. Fiverr.
It's not just a great source of knowledge, right? It's also a place to connect with talented people.
Absolutely. Whether you need help building a complex website, or creating an AI-powered chatbot, Fiverr has got you covered.
That's awesome.
It really is.
So we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive.
A lot of good stuff.
We've explored what Python is, like how it actually works behind the scenes,
The magic behind the curtain.
and all the different ways you can run your scripts.
Yeah, lots of options.
We even touched on mobile development, which is super exciting, and, all the amazing resources that are out there.
It's amazing how accessible it all is.
It is. So are you ready to go even deeper into the world of Python?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
Because in the next part, we're going to be diving into the practical applications of Python, focusing on specific examples to really get those creative juices flowing.
Love it.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
Can't wait. It's really amazing how Python has evolved,
Oh, yeah.
from this scripting language that was mainly used by IT admins
Right.
to this super versatile tool that's used in all these cutting edge fields now.
I know. It's crazy, like AI and machine learning.
Exactly. It's like Python went from playing in the sandbox to building rockets.
I love that.
And those modules we were talking about.
Yeah.
Python has this massive library of pre-built modules for almost any task you can think of,
That's so cool.
which makes development so much faster and easier.
That's one of the things I love about Python.
Yeah,
You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you want to do something.
totally. And speaking of making things easier, the Fiverr guide, they do a fantastic job of explaining how to run Python scripts from the command line.
Yeah, I'll admit, using the command line seemed a little intimidating at first.
Yeah, it can be.
But now I'm starting to see, how powerful it can be.
Oh, it's super powerful.
It's like having this direct line of communication with your computer,
It really is. And the guide even covers those command line arguments,
Oh, yeah.
which lets you add a whole new level of flexibility to your scripts.
Yeah. I remember that example they gave about checking website status.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Being able to use one script for multiple websites is a game changer.
Totally agree. It's so much more efficient than creating, separate scripts for each one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For people who prefer a more visual approach,
Right.
the guide also explains how to run Python scripts by, simply double-clicking the file.
Which is super convenient,
It is.
especially if you have scripts saved in different folders.
Yeah, definitely. Although they did mention a few caveats about double-clicking, specifically in Windows.
Oh, right. What was that about?
They advise against directly associating .y files with python.exe. It can create some workflow headaches,
I see.
especially if you need to edit those files a lot.
That makes sense.
They suggest using a batch file instead,
Okay.
which basically acts like a little wrapper for your Python script.
Got it.
Helps keep things organized,
Right.
and prevents any annoying issues.
Cool. And what about for Linux users?
For Linux, they recommend using the chmod command
Okay.
to make the script executable.
Gotcha.
While on macOS, they suggest using a tool like Platypus to turn your script into a more user-friendly app.
Okay. So each operating system has its own little quirks,
They do.
but the guide does a good job of walking you through it.
They do, yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about running scripts from the command line, double-clicking, even creating little apps.
Yeah.
But what about running Python scripts on mobile devices? Is that even a thing?
Oh, it totally is. QPython for Android
Okay.
and Pythonista for iOS.
Cool.
Let you harness the power of Python on the go.
Wow, that opens up so many possibilities.
I know, right?
Imagine creating Python scripts that automate tasks on your phone.
Oh, yeah?
Or even building like simple mobile games.
The possibilities are endless.
That's so cool. Now, for those who are like really serious about Python development,
Yeah.
the guide recommends using an IDE, like Visual Studio Code.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Visual Studio Code.
Me too. It seems to be like the go-to for a lot of developers.
Yeah, for sure.
It has a lot of really great features, like syntax highlighting,
Right.
which color codes your code to make it easier to read.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
And then there's autocompletion, which suggests code as you type, saving you time and preventing typos.
Always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
Yeah.
But one of the most valuable features, especially for beginners, is the debugging tools.
Oh, yeah.
Debugging can be like a lifesaver when you're trying to figure out why your code isn't working the way you want it to.
Oh, for sure. It can be so frustrating.
Yeah, it can be a real headache.
So Visual Studio Code makes it easier to like find and fix those little bugs.
Exactly. It's like having a detective for your code.
I like that.
Now, the guide also mentions IDLE,
Oh, yeah.
which is like a simpler development environment that comes bundled with Python.
Got it.
I think IDLE is a really great starting point for beginners.
Yeah, it seems like a good way to like dip your toes in the water.
Exactly.
Without getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's lightweight and easy to use. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a more complex IDE.
Right, so it has the Python shell for interactive coding.
It does.
Which is perfect for like experimenting and trying out little snippets of code.
Exactly. It's like having a little Python playground right on your computer.
Cool. So we have all these different ways to run Python scripts, from the command line to IDEs.
Yep, lots of options.
But what if you hit a roadblock?
Happens to the best of us.
Or need help with like a more challenging project?
Well, that's where the Python community really shines. It's incredibly supportive and welcoming.
That's great to hear.
It is.
So where should people go for help?
Well, there are tons of online resources.
Right.
From tutorials and documentation to forums and communities where you can connect with other Python enthusiasts, ask questions, share your code, get feedback.
So you're not alone in your Python journey.
Exactly. You've got a whole community to support you.
Love that. And of course, we can't forget about Fiverr.
Ah, yes, Fiverr.
Which is a fantastic platform to, find talented Python developers who can provide guidance and support.
Absolutely. Or even help you, build your whole project.
That's right. So Fiverr is not just about learning.
No.
It's about connecting with experts.
Yeah.
Who can help you achieve your Python goals.
Whatever those goals may be.
Exactly. I'm starting to get all these ideas for things I want to do with Python.
I know. Me too. It's inspiring, isn't it?
It really is. It's amazing how versatile Python is.
It is. You can apply it to almost anything.
And now that we have a solid foundation, we can start exploring those ideas and see where they take us.
Exactly. The sky's the limit.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
It has.
We've covered so much ground,
Yeah, we have.
From understanding the basics of Python to exploring the different ways you can run scripts. And even getting a glimpse into the vast world of Python applications.
So many possibilities.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. There's so much more to explore.
So are you ready for the final part of our deep dive?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Because in the next part, we're going to be taking a closer look at some real-world examples.
Ooh, the real-world stuff.
Of how Python is being used to, solve problems.
Yep.
Create innovative solutions, and even change the world.
I love it. Real-world impact.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the final part of our Python adventure.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our Python deep dive. We've talked a lot about the nuts and bolts of Python.
Yeah, all the basics.
What it is, how it works, how to get started.
Right, but
Now for the fun stuff.
Let's get to the really exciting stuff. What can you actually do with Python?
That's the best part. Python is so versatile.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
Remember how we said it's used in fields like data analysis,
Yeah.
AI, and web development?
Right.
Well, let's paint a picture of what that actually looks like in action.
Okay, yeah. Let's start with data analysis.
Okay.
What kind of problems can Python solve in that area?
So imagine you have just this mountain of customer data.
Oh, yeah.
Their purchase history, browsing habits, demographics, you name it.
Lots of data.
Python can help you sift through all of that information.
Okay.
Identify trends and extract really meaningful insights.
Cool.
For example, you could use Python to figure out which products are the most popular with certain age groups, or to predict future sales based on, like, past patterns.
So Python helps you make sense of data that would just be way too overwhelming for a human to analyze manually.
Exactly.
That's super valuable for businesses.
Yeah.
Especially like trying to understand their customers.
Right.
And make better decisions.
Yeah, and it's not just about understanding the past.
Right.
Python can help you predict the future.
Whoa, okay.
Think about those recommendation engines you see on websites like Amazon or Netflix.
Oh, yeah. They use Python to analyze your past behavior and suggest products or movies that you might be interested in.
It's like Python can read your mind.
Kinda.
But in a good way. Now, what about AI? I know that's a really hot topic these days.
It is.
What role does a Python play in that field?
Python is like the language for AI and machine learning.
Wow. Okay.
Its simple syntax and powerful libraries make it like perfect for building complex algorithms that can learn from data.
That's pretty cool.
For example, you could use Python to create a chatbot that can answer customer questions,
Okay.
a system that can detect fraudulent transactions, or even a self-driving car.
Whoa, self-driving cars. That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
I know.
But it's actually happening.
It is.
Thanks to Python.
Exactly.
It's amazing what's possible these days.
It really is.
And the best part is you don't have to be like a coding genius to get started with AI using Python.
There are so many resources and tutorials available to help you learn the basics.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about web development.
Okay.
How is Python used in that area?
Python is amazing for building web applications.
Okay.
Especially the back end.
The back end.
Yeah. That's the part of the website that users don't see, but handles all the logic and data processing
Got it.
frameworks like Django and Flask.
Okay.
Make it super easy to create really robust and scalable web applications using Python.
So if I wanted to build like my own website, I could use Python to handle things like user authentication, database management, all that behind the scenes stuff that makes the website actually work.
Precisely. Python takes care of the heavy lifting, so you can focus on like designing the front end and creating a really great user experience.
This is all so fascinating.
It is.
I'm starting to see why Python is so popular.
I know, right? It's amazing.
It's powerful, versatile, and relatively easy to learn.
Relatively, yeah.
But what about the future of Python?
That's a good question.
Is it going to stick around?
Yeah.
Or is it likely to be replaced by something, newer and shinier?
Well, Python has been around for a while.
It has.
But it's still constantly evolving and adapting. New libraries and frameworks are being developed all the time.
Okay.
And its community is like incredibly active and supportive.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that Python has a really bright future ahead of it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Well, I'm feeling pretty inspired to start learning Python myself.
You should.
Any final words of advice for our listeners who might be thinking the same thing?
Just do it.
Yeah.
The best way to learn is by doing.
Right.
Start with a simple project, follow some tutorials, and don't be afraid to experiment,
Just jump in.
Yeah, just jump in and have fun with it.
That's great advice.
And remember, the Python community is there to support you like every step of the way.
That's so important.
It is.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone.
No, you don't.
Fiverr is an awesome resource.
It is.
For finding those expert Python developers who can help you bring your ideas to life.
Whatever you want to build, Fiverr can help you find the right people to make it happen.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our Python deep dive.
The end of our journey.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you learned something new.
And that you feel, empowered to start exploring the world of Python scripting.
Absolutely.
Remember, the possibilities with Python, they're endless.
What will you create?
Go out there and start coding. And be sure to let us know what amazing things you build.
We want to see your creations.
Until next time, happy scripting.
Happy scripting.